Chief here. Last week I ended up reporting to Fort Devens. I was at Fort Devens for a total of 6 months to become, by MOS, Military Occupational Specialty, Army Electronic Warfare / Signals Intelligence Morse Interceptor. What a mouthful. 05 Hotel. It later became 98 Hotel because they wanted to put all the military intelligence MOSs into one category, and 98 was selected, and also was 96 was also selected. But I was going to become a 05 Hotel, which is a true and tried Morse code interceptor. As I said, I was there 6 months. Spent the first 2 weeks in processing, learning about the place and learning all the, and plus getting all our extra stuff there because we had to get all our combat gear, so to speak, because we went out to the field. I think once that I remember. Basically, a commander decided to go out for a weekend. We'll talk about that later because that was fun in itself. During in processing, I finally got my first segregated brief, so to speak. I came to a point where one of the briefs, one of the guys came in to do a brief, and he says, "Okay, you guys, get out of here. I only need to talk to the females." Okay, I wonder what they're going to talk about. I found out. Later had dinner with one of my female inductees or in processees and asked her, what was the brief about? She just basically told me that they gave her a brief of where not to go at dark of night to get raped from us, horny males. And I just kind of chuckled at her and I said, "You'd be kind of stupid to go out there by yourself in the first place." And she said, "Yeah, you're right. Why would I want to do that?" So I finally got into schoolhouse. And I learned the alphabet within a period of 2 weeks. Okay, Snickers. Took me 2 weeks to learn the alphabet in 0 through 9. A lot of people were amazed and shocked. They called me a super dit. Basically, you're just being converted into Pavlov's dog. You learn that da means alpha and da dit means November. And that's all it is. And you just hear a certain sequence of dits and das, and you hit the appropriate key on the keyboard. So therefore you got to know the keyboard fairly well because you can't hunt and peck to then copy Morse code. There's just no way to do it. However, one of our instructors, he could copy 25 word groups a minute. A word group is 5 sets of dits and das and 5 individual letters. That's a word group, so that's 5. He could copy speed 25 with 2 fingers, and he showed us. We had all our class instructors basically came out and told us how they were, what they did special, and my personal one was a former military member. I think he was in the Navy. He copied code. What's Snickers? Snickers is my cat. Maybe I'll show him here in a bit. He could copy one word group behind. He came out to my position one day in class and he turned around and he demonstrated. He spun around his chair to face the audience, us standing behind him. He put on the cans or the headphones, whatever you want to call them, and he said, "Okay, hit it." And they hit it, and then he was continuing to talk to us, and finally he spun around at the keyboard and he caught up within a couple seconds and was able to hit the keys. It's just amazing. And that's all you do. One of my classmates, a female, she actually used to fall asleep. She'd be like this, copying code in her sleep. And the control booth actually had a pillow. So we only copied code for like 50 minutes on the hour because you'd go crazy after a while. So they came out after the session and they threw the pillow at her and they hit her or shocked her. And they're like, "Keep what you're doing. Keep falling asleep. You pass 2 speeds." So basically, you start out at a slow speed. I think it was 9 word groups per minute, which is awful slow code. And then as you get proficient and you pass, 100 word groups, I think, successfully twice, then they would increase the speed. It would increase automatically on your progression throughout the hour. So sometimes you get a little crazy because we went to class and we would copy code for almost 7 hours a day. We'd break from lunch, then we'd march back to the schoolhouse. And I'm looking at Snickers. He's walking around my chair while I'm talking. What? You're not part of the video. I'm sorry. So we also had remedial. And remedial basically was that you went to the schoolhouse after the dinner hour and you would go copy code for a couple hours. They also said, but don't get drunk, you could have a couple of beers because the more relaxed you were or are, you can copy code. Personally, I never drank and copied code, so I really can't answer that question. I didn't do much while I was at Fort Devens. Like I said, I was there for 6 months. I think we went down to Boston. We rode the duty, or what we called the duty train, but it was the civilian train, and Fort Devens is outside the town of Ayr. And I was like, how is A-Y-E-R, Ayr? That's what they say, Ayr. I had to get that Boston accent, I guess. So we'd ride the train to Boston. We went to Cheers from the TV series. It was not anything like the TV series. The Cheers actually was a very low building. It was probably about 8 foot max, and I think it was separated into 2 separate rooms. I don't think it was 2 floors, but I think there was a room in the back which even had a lower ceiling in it, from what I remember. It wasn't anything like the set that we saw. They had a lot of the memorabilia from the TV series displayed. Nothing big. I didn't have a camera. My camera was still at home, so I don't have any show and tell. And that was about it. Then a buddy of mine, one of our trips, we decided to buy pipes and some tobacco. And while we were at the tobacco shop, the guy's like, "Hey, you guys are soldiers." We're like, "Yes." And he says, "You got a lot of smokers." He says, "I got this tobacco here that you put in your pipe. All the guys that smoke cigarettes will want to kill you." And we're like, "What?" He says, "Yeah, to you it's a very nice blend, but the aroma of it and your exhale of the smoke, if there's any smokers around you," he says, "they'll get sick because to them it smells disgusting." We're like, "No, we're not gonna make enemies that way." Don't know much else what to say today. Life was good. I mean, I lived in the barracks, had no choice because I was a student. Barracks life was okay. I was in 4th platoon. I took leadership positions. I can talk about that. I took leadership positions. I went from supply corporal, basically making sure there was enough toilet paper on the floor to satisfy the needs. I was also in 4th platoon, which was half females and half males, and our floor was the upper floor, and we had partitions in the middle that you had to walk, so therefore you couldn't see the females when they went to and from the shower. But we still had soldiers try to sneak down there, male, and I was always getting complaints. As I said, I took leadership positions. I went from supply corporal to squad leader within less than a month, I think it was, and then I also became the A/, or the assistant squad leader, or not assistant squad leader, but the A/, the assistant platoon leader. So I was the one that stood out in formation. So I took a lot of leadership at the beginning of my career. Plus I was a specialist right away. As a matter of fact, I got promoted to specialist inside the classroom middle of February, and when I got promoted, a lot of guys were like, "You're a specialist already? How long you been in the Army?" I go, "Well, exactly 4 months right now." And they're like, "What?" And I said, part of my contract, I had college already knocked out, so they gave me E3, PFC, and specialist in 4 months. Part of my contract. So I never saw the ranks of E1 or E2. So I was never a mosquito wing, E2, which is a private, buck private. And so I came in as you saw in the photo, I was a PFC and I made specialist. I think that's where we're going to end it now because I really can't think of anything else to say. I'm going to try to write some notes to help me along. Maybe it'll get me more relaxed. And also I'm trying to work out a beginning, basically saying that, this is kid friendly and what I talk about is for all ages. As you know, I don't curse and all that, but I do have an ending. And basically it's what everybody says. Freedom is not free. Chief out.